Welcome along to Puku Plan, the world's leading travel, trip, and adventure planner. This short demo will cover the Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder and how it works with the Puku Plan Trip Planner. Puku Plan uses a very innovative AI technology mixed with stored and online real-time travel data. This approach is far better than struggling with non-specialized AI tools such as Chat and Claude. The Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder is used as a basis to start your draft for all trips you plan. You don't have to start with the Smart Builder, but it will most certainly save you a lot of effort. The Smart Trip Builder is found under the Trip/Route Planning panel from the main screen. Before we get there, you'll find this and other demonstrations here under this drop-down on the main screen. This is where you find the Smart Trip Builder. There is an important distinction between the Smart Trip Builder and the Trip Planner, also found here on this menu. Think of it this way. Use the Smart Trip Builder to draft the main bones of your trip, where you will stop, where you fly to, and some of the key things you want to see. This can be done by typing in plain English. For example, you could type in, "Build me a trip starting in Oslo. I wish to fly to Paris and then drive to Berlin in Germany. I don't want to use main highways if they can be avoided, and I do not want to drive more than 8 hours in any day." The Smart Trip Builder will design the route and give you the ability to refine it further, or fine-tune and lock in our suggestions. Puku Plan uses AI technology to help build your trip, but it reinforces all results with actual real data. So unlike most AI tools on their own, there is no guessing, just raw analytics and facts. We think it is pretty important that you are turning up to a hotel or flight that is real and not made up. So based upon that, with the Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder, you can also search for hotels, camps, or points of interest at any of these locations and make them solid stops on your end trip. However, this is just a draft. When you are happy with the rough plan, you can build a trip from the draft. At this point, the draft is built into a trip you can better manage in the Trip Planner. The draft is disregarded. In the Trip Planner, you can better manage activities, accommodation types, and the order you will do things. The Trip Planner will store the trip for you to modify or share. Let's get started in the Smart Trip Builder. You can see here that we have requested a trip for a trip to Cape York and back, with a few specific locations we want to visit. Let's build a simple trip from Sydney to Tara with some specifics. We click the Build button. The build can take up to 2 minutes for larger trips, so Puku Plan gives you some features and tips to read while processing. Aha! Here we have it. This is our trip in the Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder. Let's take a look around. You can see it has our destination, and it's set some stops. We are of course looking at the general itinerary here. We can also view the separate legs of the trip. These ones will all be driving legs. Puku Plan will also break out flights and other modes of travel as well. Looking at the Map tab, we can see the route. As we requested, this is well off the highway, and it's more scenic. The Review tab allows us to answer any questions the Smart Trip Builder has that may allow us to improve the trip even further if you answer these questions. Puku Plan. Smart Trip Builder can then redesign the prompt and adjust the whole trip with your refinements. This means you can continually refine your trip. Remember, this is still a draft, so it's very powerful to be able to do this at this point. You can also simply dismiss the questions if you think them not important. These questions will be different for every trip. This Review tab also lists some assumptions that were made during the analysis. It's worth checking these. You can accept the responses or dismiss them at will. You will see that your reviews are added to the trip request. Now by clicking Refine, Puku Plan will rerun the request and factor in your replies. You can do this over and over again. Your draft will get better and better as you tune it this way. You can also make any changes manually to the actual request if you want to between refines. Notice how activities are included in your trip. Here, we will pick the aquatic spa activity. We can view more info about this activity if it's available, and also add notes, dates, etc. We will then add it as a stop using the Confirm to Draft Stop feature. You can see how it is now added as a stop, so it will now feature on our actual route map. We can opt to lock these items in if we wish to. We will get into locked stops later, but you can see how the locked-in stops are retained for their refined process also. I will explain these other icons also. So, the lock secures a stop into your draft plan. The green tick means that Puku Plan has verified the address and can make a valid route or map using this point. If no green tick, you may see a resolve button, which allows you to enter an address or lat-long GPS coordinate. We'll look at this in further tutorials and examples. The blue bed icon is used to find hotels near this stop, and the red trash can will remove the stop from the draft so as to not distract you any further with a location that you know you won't use. Let's take a look for hotels near Sydney. No, let's find something in central Sydney. You can use words like in and near in this search box. We will choose this one. You will see that it has actually been selected as a location we will be stopping at. Let's check the map to be sure it's where we think it is actually located. Yes, it's near to the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge. Perfect. I'll probably take a walk down there and take a look while I stay nearby. Okay, let's move to our draft map view. It's worth pointing out that Puku Plan will display flights in map view also if flights are a part of your trip. That's international and domestic flights. Right now, we can see our trip to Tara is shaping up quite nicely. I am looking forward to those scenic back roads we asked for. Let's take out Tamworth and some other locations by removing the lock setting. You will note that we can also shuffle the route around a little by sorting the locations. Remember, we are really still playing in draft mode here, but we can still do lots of this later in the trip planner also. We can now promote the trip from draft into our trip planner, which is really good for refining hotels and finding more local activities along our route. To do this, we click the Build Trip from Draft button, or we could start over if we wanted. Let's start over and look at some of the samples available. These are provided so that you can sample and get a taste for the types of trips possible in the Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder. Look at this one, a driving trip across America on Route 66, for example. Let's build this and take a peek. And here, we have it, a trip from Chicago to Santa Monica on Route 66. All mapped out. How good is that? All of the driving legs and times are laid out for us also. Let's give it a name. I made this spelling error on purpose. We'll clean that up in the planner. This trip we will build into the planner. Simply click here. It will take about 30 seconds or so. Now here it is presented nicely in the Puku Plan Trip Planner. Note that the draft is now gone, and the entire plan is here where you can go into finer detail. You will note that the driving leg detail has been incorporated in each stop as notes. These are notes you can now edit at your will for each and every stop as you require. We plan to add rental car and flight information into Puku Plan very soon. However, at the moment, this could be a good use for these notes fields also. Enter in such details if you want to. Again, you can shift around these locations as required. We now have a detailed summary tab. Once we have dates and stays locked in, then your room nights, camps, and any overnight stops are displayed in here. Let's go and add some more activities around Santa Fe. Simply find Santa Fe in your trip and click the Add link. Puku Plan will by default search within 100 kilometers of Santa Fe for any tourist point of interest. I think I will add some of these. I hit save to add them as activities under Santa Fe. You can see the activities we choose are now listed under our trip in Santa Fe. I'm pretty sure we will visit or stay at the Eldorado Hotel and Spa, so I'm going to make that a definite stop. Similar to what we did in the Smart Trip Builder, we added the activity from a draft to a stop. Here we can choose Convert to Trip Stop. Notice now that it's a stop location. We can click here to edit the Eldorado Hotel and Spa information on our trip. We can enter lots of info on this screen about the Eldorado Hotel and Spa, including our expected dates. We can even paste in some pictures so that they appear in our itinerary. We may be sharing our trip plan with some friends who are helping us to plan the journey, and we want our plan to look great. Let's save what we have. It's not the best image in this case, but you now see a small image of the Eldorado Hotel and Spa. If we or our friends click the image, we can see what the Eldorado Hotel and Spa actually looks like. You can add images, notes, dates, etc. to all or any lines in your itinerary. Because this trip is stored in the trip planner, it's active for us to use while on holiday. We can easily mark where we have been as a sort of progress indicator. Looking at the map, we can see we have traveled the gray portion, and we have the exciting trip remaining indicated by the green line. Now let's go and fix that earlier typo of the trip name. Simply head back to our Trips menu and select Edit Trip Detail. Make any changes and hit Save. In the trip planner, you can go back to this trip as much as you want. That ends this tutorial. I hope you now understand how to use the Puku Plan Smart Trip Builder to build drafts and then work on them further in the Puku Plan Trip Planner. I will point out that you can just start building trips directly in the planner also. Anyway, have a great trip and be sure to tell your holiday friends that you use Puku Plan.